Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Don Mafia Report. That's right, I am live twice a day at 10 a.m. EST and also at 4 p.m. EST, breaking down all of the burning questions surrounding our favorite team. And you did read that title correctly. I have gotten access to the broadcast version slash all 22 of what exactly transpired out in the field with the Buffalo Bills and the New York Giants game. Now, what is frustrating is for some reason, the NFL Plus slash NFL Pro, where I typically pull film from, they do not include the preseason. So I kind of had to jump through a couple of hoops here and there, where normally it is a beautiful collection of separated out and consolidated plays where I could filter by a specific player so I could just look at their reps or their targets or when they were on the field. Unfortunately, today we have just a 41-minute long video, a condensed version of the said game. I'm going to do my best to put together as many clips as humanly possible. However, it's mostly going to be takeaways after rewatching it earlier this afternoon. Thankfully, I did convince my good friend Kevin, who is a co host of mine over on the Bills Roundtable, to be joining us here in about 5 to 10 minutes, where he can also tell us exactly what his thoughts were pertaining to what he saw out on the field. So maybe he has it a bit more organized than myself. Regardless, I am super excited to unpack some of the narratives that we learned earlier this morning. Many of you were not a fan of my Landon Jackson take. I was reading some of the comments afterwards, and that's completely fine. I love when everybody exercises their First Amendment right, baby. Let it be known. Let it be known out into the universe whether or not that you think that my takes are absolute buns or whether or not that you agree with them, man. Listen, I encourage everyone to sound off on their opinion regardless of each and every single episode. I just love each and every single one of you, right? Because without you, what would this channel be? I really don't know. Now, as you are coming in, folks, please do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up sign for me. Let's propel this out to the YouTube algorithm because I want our family to grow. And how our family grows is just simply by hitting that tiny little thumbs up button where new members can be recruited to our live chat community, in which I would like to believe that a lot of you enjoy significantly. As well, roll call in the chat. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I'm curious to see what corner of this globe Bills Mafia is located in. Do not be shy. I'm talking to every single lurker in the chat as well. Everybody watching on YouTube, X, and Facebook, let me know where you're tuning in from. Do not be shy. Obviously, I need to give a giant shout out to our good friends of the channel. Let's go on ahead and talk about William Mattar. Folks, if you were ever hurt in a car, you absolutely have to call William Mattar, #1 car accident attorney in the state of New York. I would not wish a car accident on anybody, but say, for example, it does happen. It's very important to have a connection like our good friend right here. You need somebody in your corner that is going to fight for your rights and help you come back as whole as humanly possible. So shout out to William Mattar for being a proud partner of today's show. And let's get into this super chat situation, folks. Excuse me, roll call situation. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Do not be shy, folks. Let me know where everybody is tuning in from. Maya is in the building saying St. Louis. Dan, I am in St. Louis, Missouri. What's going on? BIYM. Any development on the James Cook situation? None. Zero. Zilch. I have seen a couple of articles specifically from Pro Football Talk. I'm pretty sure that comes from Mike Florio, where he just ended up writing an article suggesting that Buffalo needs to pay James Cook. I did get forwarded that article from James Cook's agent as well. So this morning, he just ended up shooting me over a DM with that link. So I'm kind of curious to sort of get into his head and see what's going on. Maybe we can invite him to be back on this show here soon. But no development from my side of things. Dallas, Pennsylvania is in the building. West Seneca, New York, baby. Hi again, Dan. What is going on? Hope all is well. Fort Mill, South Carolina, Chuck Howard. Hope all is well with you. Pennsylvania is in the building. Windsor, Ontario is in the building. New York City, the Bronx, BIYM. What's going on, my friend? What up, Dan? Mafia Sports Report is in the building. Tampa, Florida is in the building. Wyoming is in the building. Salt Lake City, Utah. We have New York. We have Chattanooga, Tennessee. Man, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to unpack some of this film with each and every single one of you. You have no idea. While we wait for Kevin, folks, let's go on ahead and see what the chat is all about this morning as we continue to allow people to pile in. I did want to remind everybody that we have a show called the Bills Roundtable Mondays and Thursdays. Once this show is over with today, folks, you are going to be redirected to our brand new channel that has myself, that has Z-Bot, that has Bill's Bunker and Kevin, where we meet Mondays and Thursdays breaking down everything that has happened with the Buffalo Bills. So say, for example, that's your cup of tea and you want to hear all 4 of our takes over this preseason week 1, what narratives were addressed, what were some of our biggest takeaways, stock up, stock down players. Stick around, man. That channel is currently pinned at the top of the chat, and I sincerely hope that I get to see each and every single one of you tune in. We have Super Lancers come in. Can't wait to be in the Ralph for Thursday night game against the Dolphins. We are going to squish the fish. I got to tell you, man, that is the game I am going to as well. I am looking forward to that game as I do each and every single year. And I'm looking even more forward to it because I will have an opportunity of meeting so many of you. Man, I am looking forward to it. I have my plane ticket situated. We have our Airbnb all lined up. We're good. So it's going to be a hell of a time. It is going to be a hell of a time. Benny from Buffalo is in the building. Mayfield, Kentucky. Talk to me about that. Thought I missed it. Bet. Have no fear, guys. Have no fear. Bills Roundtable begins in about 50 minutes. Super excited to chop it up with those guys once again. Jake from Bill's Bunker is a good dude. He is. Dude, he really, really is, man. So far, I've definitely loved working with him. And I'm excited to see what the chemistry looks like as the season continues, man. We're doing our best to make sure this works. DF Forever is in the building. Please subscribe to the new channel. Yeah, guys, for sure. Say that you want yet another Bills channel of myself and all of the good guys right here. Certainly lock in. What's up, Dan the Man? How you doing, bro? Courtney, what's going on, my guy? Hope all is well. I'm doing great, man. You know, I mean, I'm sitting here. I'm about ready to unpack some of the film we saw from the Buffalo Bills and the New York Giants to continue pushing forward some of the narratives in which that I saw. But damn, I'm feeling really, really good. Looking forward to seeing you, Dan. Absolutely. Me too. Me too. So again, I did want to discuss briefly what some of these PFF scores were like, because some of you were tuned in and locked in with me this morning, and some of you like to reserve your attendance during the late afternoon, which is completely fine. But what we did is that we really ended up unpacking who was leading the pack as far as individual performances, because many of you will know that collectively the preseason doesn't make sense, or collectively the preseason does not matter in regards to who wins or loses. But you're damn right it matters when it comes into individual team performances. That right there, I will not allow when someone says it's only the preseason, Dan. Especially with teams like the Buffalo Bills, where the biggest problem we had in 2024, of course, say that you were to ask me, was the fall off in talent when a depth player had to step up and fill their role. What was the main theme of this offseason? The main theme of this offseason, folks, was depth. Every single move we made, including free agency, same thing with the NFL draft, was in hopes that we could potentially end up fixing this roster from the bottom up. If, for example, Matt Milano ultimately ended up getting some sort of hamstring injury and we had to be without him for a couple of games, what is Joe Andreessen going to look like? How is he going to fit in the mold? Say, for example, Bosa goes down with an injury. How is Landon Jackson going to play? We need to know these things. Because say, for example, we see some of these rookies go up against another team's third strings and they tend to struggle a bit up front, then yeah, right? I think that we could all be a bit pessimistic, or maybe we could be a bit concerned going into it. But largely, that's kind of my thoughts here. Who dat? What's up? We got Saints in the building from Facebook. What is going on? It's only the preseason, Dan, though. Third down defense pissed me off. Yeah, it's not particularly a schematic thing for me. It's more so when it comes into individual team or the player performances. That is what is by and large always standing out to me during these matchups. And we've seen so far of a couple of different players based off of the game report that we saw. And we'll start off with the defense because that is everybody's question. What did the Buffalo Bills defense, or what will the Buffalo Bills defense look like going into the 2025 season? And hands down, the biggest performer, of course, was Deon Walker, right? A big body defensive tackle from the University of Kentucky who looked a hell of a lot better in 2023 than he did 2024. But depending on who you asked, many thought that he was a project, right? Like he is a 4th round pick. And many just thought based off of his size profile that he was nothing but a one-tech run stuffer based off of his power and size. I got to tell you what, guys, like we continuously saw over and over and over again out of all of his reps that he has pass rushing chops. I was even impressed with the guy's hand movement, winning inside on a specific rep. Hands down, Deon Walker was the star of, I would say, the 2nd/3rd strings for me. I love to see it. But then we end up getting into the Landon Jacksons of the world, which I can tell you is a bit less than ideal, right? But of course, I am waiting on Kevin to get in here. In fact, I got to go ahead and check out his Twitter dynamics here. So to start off, but I'm going to double check and make sure he's still coming in. All right. But anyway, I did want to sort of look at a couple of things. And what I have is the condensed version of this said game. I have a feeling this might get demonetized. Maybe it ends up getting flagged, but there's a couple of things I wanted to take a look at as far as all 22. And the first player that I really wanted to take a look at was Joey Bosa, right? Because you probably heard a couple of people on X suggest that Joey Bosa was having himself a game. So luckily, while he did have a very limited snap count, in fact, I want to say he played half a drive. He didn't even finish the first drive while Russell Wilson was out there. However, I feel with the limited opportunities that he had, he did make his presence known, and something I feel like we should celebrate. Because Bosa, as many of us know, is indeed a player that we need to make sure steps up for this organization. So let's take a look at a couple of his reps, see how we feel about all this. Let's take a look. Yeah, Bosa right here, down on the sideline. And while he didn't end up doing anything finesse, you can just tell just by going on ahead and backing up a tad here. Just by backing up a tad here. Oh, pardon me. Pardon me, right here. Let's see. While he's not specifically winning, right now you can see how effective this guy is in the run defense sort of situation here, right? I'm going to back up here for a second. Bang, bang. And let's get back to this play. So this right here is a pass rush rep. While he's not going to win with finesse, you can clearly tell that his power is still there. That is certainly encouraging. As we end up shifting over to the next play, this is what I absolutely loved, how he was able to shed a block, still make a play on the running back. Again, very encouraging. The crowd absolutely went erupt. And then here is his final rep, just going into it. Again, winning with power, not particularly being like a Von Miller type player who is going to finesse, right? And like utilize technique by running around specific tackles. He's a damn bull rusher, a power rusher that will be able to use his length and make a play on the quarterback. That is how he wins. I'm feeling pretty encouraged based off of those little snaps that we saw from Joey Bosa thus far. That I certainly like. Now, in efforts so that this video doesn't get completely demonetized, I'm probably not going to show really much more since the official all 22 is not out on the field. But I think that we can tell a pretty good story based off of what players were ranked specifically on PFF. I think that could be it. We have Backbone 5 has come in. TJ Sanders was the best rookie in the game. PFF is crazy because he legit got penetration every single play. Well, from what we saw, right, like he ultimately ended up having an 82 defense grade, 78.3 pass rush. And I mean, dude, you're right? Like he was out there being very impressive. That one specific play from Jackson Dart where he ended up making a beautiful touchdown pass, he literally was seconds away from getting clocked by TJ Sanders. He was indeed getting quite a bit of pressure, and that's what we need out of him, right? When he ended up filling in for Ed Oliver. Very rarely are we going to see TJ Sanders and Ed Oliver out there at the exact same time, barring the 3rd and long situation or passing downs, if you will. But look, I would tell you that TJ Sanders was indeed a standout. In fact, you know what? What I'll do is go a step further. Say that we had to give a way too early reaction to the 2025 draft class. When I looked at all of their performances at surface level, I'd probably say, with the exception of Landon Jackson, all of them ended up doing some quality things out on the field. Loved what I saw from Hancock. Loved what I saw from TJ Sanders. Walker certainly surprised me. All right. And so I'm not saying that like he's ready to replace Daquan Jones or anything like that, but I do think that he is well ahead of schedule. Right. Same thing with Dorian Strong. One specific rep was head scratching for me, but he still did some pretty quality things. And obviously Maxwell Harrison is out on the sideline with an injury. So far, some good things from the rookies. And I can tell you what, folks, we can now officially welcome in my good friend, co-host right over at the Bills Roundtable. What is going on, Kev? How's life?
Always great, man. Always great to do film reviews, score reviews, look at what we need to look at from the game. I had some great takeaways and tease and preview, obviously, the Bills Roundtable. What's coming up shortly.
Yeah.
It's a great time to come over and check us out over there shortly. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome. We have football back. Love looking at who did what, who did where. But preseason has some nuance, Dan. That's the number one thing we have to remember. Each player for sure is told a certain assignment, and that assignment isn't always matched up to a game plan, or it isn't always matched up to what the offense is doing. In this case, we're looking at the Bills defense. It's not correlated at all. Like Brian Daboll kept running screen passes. It was annoying. It's not helpful. I'm glad you can get a first down in 20 to 30 yards. Dude, you're trying to win a preseason game. Like, can we see some O-line, D-line drills? Can we see some like actual coverage? Like, come on, man. You can run that in the regular season when it matters. You didn't need to run 7 running back passes. Like, you're just trying to get down the field to win a fourth quarter of a preseason game, dude. I know your job's on the line in this New York media, but that's what it felt like.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Like, so what I will say is, so I did try to go ahead and pull up all of the all 22. It's not on NFL Pro, which is frustrating. So what we have is the condensed version by itself, but it's just one long 41-minute video. It's one long 41-minute video. Like, you can't filter by specific player and like specific plays based off of like downs. But I did figure that us going through these PFF grades and looking at like, okay, who impressed, at least according to PFF, and maybe I'll be lucky enough to find something right within this. However, I did kind of want to talk about some of the standouts because PFF is typically known. A lot of people don't trust their grades specifically, but based off of first glance, I did want to talk about some of the standouts here. And the names that I've heard specifically was Deion Walker, and then obviously TJ Sanders and Jordan Hancock. In your opinion, who are the standouts on defense regardless of snap count? Like, who really stood out to you?
I mean, the defense played really well. The score doesn't dictate it because, like we just mentioned, Brian Daboll was going for W's and was like actually manipulating so it looked like it looked good. Yeah. The second half of it was ridiculous. He was running specific offensive plays to, I mean, you're winning a game, so I'm not going to hate on someone for winning a game. Like, I guess that's what you do. But really, we're evaluating talent and we're evaluating player to our discussion today. There's a lot of good defensive performance in this game. I don't care how many points they quote unquote scored. A lot of it was off a miss fumble, and some of it was manufactured by Brian Daboll. So a couple of really good defensive performances in this one, like Joe Andreessen obviously stuck out. I think he's right next to Dorian Williams. Really, it's not like Dorian, Joe. It's really neck and neck, especially with Dorian and basically all the injured players getting called out this weekend by Sean McDermott. Like, you got to play. Like, I don't care. And then went to Cook too. Like, you got to play. Like, we need you. This is time. Joe Andreessen's wildly growing on the depth chart. So he's probably still linebacker 4. I think he could have earned a linebacker 3. He's right there ready to go. And I thought his performance proved that he can play with starting level players, not just 3s and 4s. In fact, I probably wouldn't even have played him as long. I don't want him getting hurt. So he had a great performance, in my opinion, on what he was able to do. I mean, PFF says he played decent. Like, he was a good tackler. I guess they didn't like how many coverage snaps did he even take? It looks like they logged him with 28 coverage snaps. And that's what dung him down to 67. But his run defense ability looked like it would have been first on the team. His tackling would have been up there. Accurate. I agree with that assessment for the most part. I thought he's a little better in coverage than that score shows. But ultimately, I think it's a really good performance against the ones. Really, the Giants were playing a lot of ones. So I thought Joe Andreessen had a really great day. And the rookies just could be one of the best class ever. It's no flash. There's no flashy name.
Exactly. Right. So right before you came on stage, I said, you know what? Like, one guy that I really was not impressed with was Landon Jackson. I'm very curious to hear your take on him. But right now, I am on the same page as you, man. Like, you wanted to see, like, you saw everything you wanted to see from this rookie class, like, on Saturday. And that goes with everybody except for Landon Jackson. I was not pleased with a lot of the things I saw from him.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you go 100% in any draft, like, dude, like, that's epic levels of drafting. And that's still after one preseason. It wasn't a good preseason game. He turned over. I mean, Jordan Hancock didn't make that great of a play, but he was in the right place for that interception. Knowing the read is confusing to a quarterback, and he did what he needed to do to force an overthrow. They were in a great coverage. Dude, it's one thing if you're in a battle and they call you for some stupid thing, like an illegal contact or something that's really dumb, and half the time not even illegal contact. Dude, where are you lining up? Like, I don't know if you thought the ball was behind where it really was, or like what happened there. But honestly, his film wasn't great. He does have the physical tools. It's very obvious he's trying to process at the same time as his physical ability. So he's kind of compensating too much. It's preseason game 1, so we're going to give him a pass on this, especially. But what's really more rewarding, though, is these day 3 picks, man. Like, they all played super well. And the 2 defensive tackles taken. It's what we've been looking for. We've been looking for this type of talent. The Bills traded up for Sanders, and they really had a vision for him, which is I always like to see. I always prefer them be totally in on a player than be like, I guess Elam fell. I guess that's what we do. He's like, we like his talent. Like, I always like being convicted. Like, I like him more than Alfred Collins. I like him more than any other DT remaining. We need to come up at any cost to get our guy. And they're proving early that they do have a vision for Sanders, and Sanders is winning in his pass rush win rate. And it's he's a player. Like, I do believe that he will do some things we haven't seen from a young defensive tackle in Buffalo. So very impressed by Sanders early on. I was really hopeful that they had a great vision for him, but his pass rushes look great. Like, between him and Deion Walker, I know Deion got a little favorable of a score, basically being one of the best pass rushers in the preseason so far. I mean, I just like I kind of just said for Joe, like, I don't agree with that coverage score at all. I'm going to say like a 93 pass rush. Like, it's probably a little bit higher than.
So the batted pass, like, likely helped him out a little bit, right?
Yeah, a lot. But, it's an influential play. Yeah.
So with TJ Sanders, like, that one pressure he got on Jackson Dart, unfortunately, he did end up connecting with a touchdown. And I have to give Dart all the credit in the world, right? Because most, like, rookie quarterbacks, I likely think probably would have crumbled with that pressure, like, in his face. But you're right, dude. Like, he was all over the field by itself. Now, my question for TJ Sanders, and something I've kind of been thinking about, there's technically an out on Ed Oliver's contract next year. Was TJ Sanders drafted for that reason alone? for an option, like being like, hey, you know what? Say, for example, that we want to walk away from Ed Oliver. Let's see what this kid can do. Maybe we'll like mess around. He'll get like 30-40% of the snap share. Maybe occasionally him and Ed will be out there on passing downs. Was there something deeper with that TJ Sanders pick?
We'll call it an option because it definitely helps. And it was more that they just didn't have any defensive tackle signed beyond where it's at. I really think they have visions for this NASCAR package for players having different line changes on the defensive line, kind of copying Philly. Like, we're going to call it what it is. They're successful at it. It is the way to beat their main challenge right now, the main big boss, which is the Kansas City Chiefs and other teams that have good passing games. So look, I don't think so, to be honest. I don't think that was the main reason. I do envision a world where they want Ed, they want Deion Walker, they want Sanders. They want to keep continuing to add to these defensive tackle groups, and mainly because they're going to lose Daquan Jones, right? So I think that plays into the total package, but doesn't hurt if at the end of the day that these guys are outperforming Ed Oliver and Ed Oliver like drops to third or fourth defensive tackle in some world that exists. I mean, that is available and it is there for them to do. But I truthfully believe they want all of these three together specifically, and Dwayne Carter as well. So I do believe that it is a package to where they want as many young defensive tackles mixed with to get the most out of Ed Oliver. I don't personally believe it was for that out clause, but it certainly doesn't hurt that if something happens or he's just not performing, that's available for the team to make that determination to go that route.
Okay. All right. Now, so one of our big free agency acquisitions was Joey Bosa, obviously. He was only out there for like 12 snaps. I did like some of his prowess, right? Like you could definitely tell that like his power is still there. While he didn't get home, like you did see him ultimately end up having some pretty good reps against that specific right tackle, pushing him back. He did end up making some noise in that category. And then obviously that run stop with him being able to shed his block and be able to make a tackle right up in the middle. Thoughts on Joey Bosa with your limited sample size? We know what he's about when he is healthy, but did he look like Bosa to you with that limited sample size?
Yeah, he did. Like, that's what you're looking for. That's Bosa where he's probably going to produce if he's staying healthy and doing that kind of production. And you're probably not going to be able to afford him next year anyways. So honestly,
it's a one-year rental.
One-year rental. You could play the comp pick game. That's always interesting because you don't know if you're going to sign anybody and that'll just wash him out. So you got to kind of play the game. But if he produces, he's going to cost too much for the Bills, but you're going to get a good rental at a really reduced price of a top end flight. And he was showing the ability to be in that top category without the 7-year investment or the 5-year investment that some of these other guys are going to cost, like a Hendrickson. But he is just as good as some of those top flight pass rushers, if healthy and if playing. He showed it. He's going to be a difference maker. He's going to be a step up from some of the these Smoot who had an okay year and some of the other rentals that they've tried to play. He could be a big time difference maker, and he showed like when I'm healthy, like I'm really one of the top 10 defensive ends in the league. I'm not 30 to 40. I'm top 10.
So with 12 snap, man, he was doing his thing. One player I think got some shit was Tre'Davious White, right? Like he's definitely been the sweetheart right in camp.
It's good in camp.
Yeah, right. But then during the preseason game, and like you said, a lot of screens, a lot of those little running back dump offs. Like he was playing 10 to 12 yards off the line of scrimmage from the beginning. I think that's what Sean McDermott and Babbage wanted to do.
Yep.
He did have one missed tackle, so I did see that. But does this kind of slow the hype for Tre'Davious White for you, or not so much?
Not so much. I also, when we started this, I prefaced it by saying I think each player was on an assignment. That's kind of why I went into that ramble about Brian Dable, like trying to avoid the New York media. He wants to get glazed in August, let's be honest. And that only helps his position come September and October in a pretty competitive division. He was all out. Of course, late in the game, like defensively, the Giants were a mess, but like offensively, they were doing anything they could to win that game. Like let's call it what it is. I didn't personally think Dart looked as good as other people did. I thought I thought he was a little bit skittish in the pocket. I didn't overly like his reads in certain scenarios. He made a nice throw to over Dane Jackson with DeMar Hamlin in trail coverage, who didn't get over there for some. Still don't know why. Understand that you're not going to go and light somebody up in the preseason, but
so I feel like when I saw that, So I feel like when I saw that, I thought that Hamlin thought that TJ Sanders was going to get there.
Probably, yeah.
And that kind of made him hesitate.
Maybe.
He said, "Oh, screw it. He's got it." And
Yeah,
there's no
truthfully.
way.
And he's like, I mean, you know, and you also don't know what the Bills are saying on the side. You really never know. You may say, like, we want to see all of our corners on an island just to see how it goes, see how the coverage goes. Like let's put him in positions where if you're not there, we want to see how, like, we don't know the scenarios. This isn't the regular season. It's not even close. So we don't know if the safeties were told, just check out the middle, see what's going on, diagnose the play pre-snap, but let's let our corners live on an island. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to give DeMar some credit of, like, that can't be how he played that. Like, that's not how he would have played that. Even DeMar Hamlin, who has his limitations and I was very angry at, I don't even believe he plays out like that. Like, there's something off with that play. So if that's going to be his highlight, I'm glad that he was able to do that over Dane Jackson, who's probably going to get cut at this point. Like, I don't have him on the roster, especially if Harrison's ready week 1. Dane Jackson's getting cut. So like, okay, like, congratulations. You know, generally speaking, you're going to get hit in the honey hole and there's going to be a safety there. Could get intercepted, that throw. But he read it and made the throw. And it happened for him. But that's kind of where I prefaced it with Trey White was, look, he was not tackling on purpose. Like, he's just trying to get his coverage back, to get his feel back, to get the reads of the defense. There's no way he's doing fake hugs and barely tackle, like pushing someone, almost like flag football. He's not the best tackler in the world, but that's not how that would have gone if that was a regular season. So I truly think he was getting his footing, his backpedaling, his trail coverage, zone reads. He was doing different. He had different goals than maybe how to hard hit someone like Taron Johnson. That was not on his list of assignments.
And so I was just about to say that. I really wish that would have rubbed off on Taron Johnson, for the love of God.
Yeah.
For the love of God, man. Like,
no, we needed the reverse. Correct. We needed Taron to play like Trey White, not Trey White to play like Taron. For sure. Like, we can't have playoff hits week 1 of the preseason.
Scott comes in with a $10 donation. Thank you, Scott. We appreciate you over here with your number 1 target out, Shakir, and hopefully he'll be back by week 1, if not week 2. I really like Terrell Shavers should make this team. He is a dynamic player, and that's great because we might as well transition over to offense because we don't want to spoil too much here, because directly after this episode, folks, in 25 minutes, Kevin and I are going over to the Bills Roundtable channel. You are going to be redirected once this stream is over with, and the channel is actually pinned at the top of this live chat. We meet every single Mondays and Thursdays, unpacking everything that is happening with the Buffalo Bills. It's likely going to be game recaps, game previews. So certainly hop on over, as we are going to be joined with Z-Bot and Jake from Bills Bunker to unpack everything. But Shavers, my friend, I thought that he was just going to be nothing but a good story. So I thought that, hey, you know what? He really needs to have a special teams contribution in order to make this team. But with all of the reps that he has been taking advantage of late camp, and even last week, granted, he was top 5. So when it came into PFF scores by itself, now I'm kind of thinking it might be him. But then again, you do look at the kick return battle as well. I'd probably say that Chenault was probably a bit more impressive than Codrington and some of the other ones. Maybe so the Bills go that way. I'm still not all convinced that the Bills are going to walk away from Curtis Samuel due to his contract. Thoughts on Shavers? Is he on your 53-man roster today?
God, it's tough. Like, look,
I know
we fall in love with these weapons every single year. Shavers had a play against backups where he went long for a touchdown when the Bills were up big. He's played in the regular season or 2. He's right borderline, but Sean McDermott said it, and it is what it is. But if you keep a 6 receiver, and the Bills probably could this year because, you know, making sure Shakir is healthy, I do believe by all respect he is ready week 1. They may keep 6, but they've got to play every phase of special teams, and Shavers hasn't. So do they stash him? Are they worried? Like, everybody, here's the difference. Linebackers, offensive linemen get claimed occasionally because those are positions that, you know, you want new talent in. Receivers, everybody has 5 to 6 of them on their roster. So are you cutting one of yours for Terrell Shavers? Or are you going to keep yours and then keep yours on the practice squad, which is generally 95% of the time what happens. Believe it or not, especially at receivers, these guys that have some production. Maybe they go to a different practice squad like Virgil did. But generally speaking, they don't make an active roster. The Bills have a decision to make. Like, look, Chenault does everything possible, including catching a 2-point. Showed some juice on returns, playing every phase of special teams right now. He is a wild card to really make the roster. Not because I think he's the world's best receiver, but he does everything. And if he's going to make plays in the red zone occasionally,
is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's my favorite to make the team.
I don't know. I think that's more valuable to the team than you don't keep Codrington. I think that's more valuable to the team than keeping Shavers. But he did enough. He's done enough in camp. He's did enough last year. He's 25, so he's a little bit younger. I mean, the Bills could get goofy with this position. They really could. They could say, you know what? We want the youngest guys possible. You know, Chenault's going to take that 6 receiver. Maybe we go 5, you know, with Shavers being one of the 5 and then Chenault being 6, which would mean you trade Curtis Samuel. So there's ways around this, but as of this moment, I still can't say the Bills would dedicate a roster spot to Terrell Shavers without being convinced that he adds to the special teams room. And unlike Chenault plays is going to be each returner. So the Bills are going to get a lot out of Chenault playing all the special teams units, return units, and then help a little bit in the red zone. That's a little bit too valuable to cut right now. So we'll see what happens. Either one of them, the Bills are going to put on the practice squad if possible. So, and that's keeping 6, which is still tough. The Bills generally have kept 5.5 to 6. I saw some tweets today about how many receivers they were keeping, and some of them were, sometimes they keep 6, but they put one on IR. So then they free up the roster spot, and then they sign Reed Ferguson back. So they don't always keep a true 6. So if they do, one of them has to be something really developmentally special, which none of these guys are, or help on special teams like Chenault does. So it's going to be challenging for me. I think it would require an IR stint by one of the top 4, or would require them trading somebody. And the only player you could trade right now would be Curtis Samuel.
And so would we, though?
I would.
So I've seen a lot of people speculating about it, but like, would you see that dead cap?
Not if traded. So if traded, the Bills
traded, we're good.
Yes.
Yeah, but
you can't cut them.
So, but then again, like, so do we really think that somebody would be in the market for Curtis Samuel?
Yeah,
and somebody would send over like some draft capital for him?
Late round draft choice. But you don't have to pay him anything in salary or bonus, in bonus. You're basically taking him for a year. And, you know, you get a player that could come into your offense and be your 3rd or 4th receiver. I truly believe he still has a really good reputation in the league, and the Bills could sell it like saying, look, we like Chenault a lot. We like Shavers a lot. That's the only reason. Like we have the same guy in Elijah Moore and in, Khalil Shakir, that we just don't have a spot for him. It's not a matter of anything else. So I do think you can convince someone to take him for a late day 3 draft choice. And truly a team that doesn't have to have some cap space. Receivers are at a premium. I think believe it or not, I think he's at more of a premium to the league than a Shavers or a Chenault would be if they became available via cut. So
for a trade and not for a release, ladies and gentlemen. So a release would not be a financially sound situation.
Nope.
That is for sure. One player that I think underwhelmed, and I'm not sure whether or not that it has like lack of chemistry with the offensive line, or maybe he was rusty, of course, was Ray Davis, right? Like his name was regularly brought up, especially during this James Cook saga where, whatever, we'll just run with Ray Davis. And he ultimately did not end up taking advantage of his reps. Shout out to him for those extra points, though, right? Super cool right in that category. What was the problem with Ray Davis's rushing attempts based off of what you saw?
I mean, look, I think he was just kind of seeing the reads, and he wasn't really doing anything extra special. Like, kind of the Trey White effect, in my opinion, where they're like, don't get hurt, go where you're supposed to go. If the gap is there, take it. I mean, the problem is you have a competitor like Ty Johnson who's doing the opposite. Like, he's seeing the hole, he's bursting through it. He has his high-end RAS, his high-end physical ability, and he's hitting it hard. So although Ray Davis didn't impress, you have to imagine Ty Johnson being the favorite for taking James Cook's reps. Really, Ray Davis is going to get the same amount of reps no matter who's on the roster, in my personal opinion. The person who benefits the most would be Ty Johnson taking a ton of reps. But the difference was last year when he was out in the Jets game, gave them all to Ray Davis. So Ray Davis is a weak player. He's a gamer. He's going to be someone that gets better as the night goes on. He's not someone that's going to come out ripping off 40-yard runs to begin the day. Like, that's just not Ray Davis. And I think with a full Josh Allen to call the plays and to get the defense off their game, Ray Davis benefits from that stuff. Any running back would from Josh Allen, but Ray Davis specifically benefits a lot from the ability of how he plays football. And the Bills definitely told him, like, look, dude, you're going to be doing kick. We're going to try you at kicking. Just don't get hurt. And you could clearly tell I ran to the right gap. I got the handoff from Rich Trubisky. Like, this is about going to be where it ends for us.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to do anything more than the basics here. And Ray Davis, to me, looked like that. We'll see how he looks in the next 2 weeks. Like, we'd like to see a little juice out of him, but I can't take a ton out of that, of that performance. When you have a guy like Ty Johnson playing regular season, but Ty Johnson right there showing regular season ability.
Yeah.
So Ray Davis, I don't believe, showed us his top.
Say that there's a world where James Cook does extend his holdout right into the regular season. Like, say, for example, he just plays 6 games, right? And then he says, oh, okay. And so I've accrued a full season and now I'm going to hold out for the rest of it. Who do you think would ultimately end up taking over his snaps? Is this a Ray Davis thing or more Ty Johnson? Like, who takes over his snaps right now?
I think they split him right down the middle. So I think whatever Ray Davis would have gotten is probably a few more than Ty Johnson. So Ray Davis probably ends up going to 60-40. Like, I think it would end up going maybe 65-35 to Ray Davis. He's going to take a certain amount of his snaps. Ty Johnson's going to take a lot of his pass snaps, a lot of his third downs, all that stuff that he already has a lot of. He's going to, continue to gain more of it, maybe second and longs, those kind of things. So I think Ty Johnson probably goes from like a 20% to like a 35-40% snap. But Ray Davis probably benefits from the down-to-down bulk upload from like his normal 30% snap share that he'll probably see as of this moment. He'll probably get to over 50% snap share for sure.
And say that does happen, then we could probably all assume that it's Evans who would be RB3, or maybe even Frank Gore Jr., right?
I don't know which way they'd go.
Right, who many people are very excited about, but I'm just trying to get them to taper their expectations.
One would be on the roster, one would be on the practice squad for sure.
Yeah.
If James Cook's ready to go and he signed, one of the two will be on the practice squad. But yeah, they would both be on the roster in some capacity. But Darrington Evans always has good preseasons. He always does.
He does. Yeah.
He's like a preseason monster, believe it or not. And Frank Gore showed some stuff in the passing game, so that's valuable to the Bills. We'll see what they do if I think they would personally probably stash Frank Gore in the practice squad, maybe Darrington Evans too. They'd probably go get a running back in my if James Cook really is not playing, they're getting a running back. They're going to get a running back in a different manner for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So one storyline too was the QB2 competition, right? So we saw Mitchie Biscuits handle at least the first half of the game, followed by Mike White, some of the Buchele as well. But based off of what you saw preseason week 1, who is more impressive to you? And who do you think has sort of taken the lead right in this QB2 competition?
I put up a poll after the game, and 70% of Bills fans said Mike White.
Yeah.
I think that's more of want.
Yeah.
Truthfully, it was
like people just hate Trubisky.
Mitchell Trubisky does. It's weird for being a backup quarterback. Does get some extra hate that the QB2. Generally, the QB2 is liked because it's like, that guy's really good and he could be a starter elsewhere. And I hate my QB1 or whatever the case may be. But in Buffalo, it's like people hate Mitchell Trubisky. He looked terrible against the ones. He looked terrible. He had one's weapon for the most part. He had a lot of ones on playing. He is going against one, so that's more of a challenge than Mike White had to deal with. But he had most of the ones on the O-line. He looked terrible. Like you can't have that kind of first quarter. Gets going in the second quarter as players are swapping in and out and gets a little bit more rhythm. More like Josh style of play. He can run a little bit, gets out of the pocket, makes a good play. He can play in Josh's system more, truthfully. He really can. So that probably will matter to Brady. And then ultimately, look, the court QB2 job isn't to come in and play 8 games a year and who can win them. It's his job is to break down other teams' defenses and to watch film with Josh and to see what he sees. Josh has the answer to that. Josh and Brady have the answer to that. Who does that the best? And that's truly that is honestly number 1 on the list. Number 2 is the stuff we're talking about today. So number 2, I think Mike White's made a good case to do the things we're looking for on the field. But number 1, it's got to be Trubisky that does that well. He does have $1 million guaranteed of his salary after the March or whatever it was. They did decide to hang on to him at that point. Another like Curtis Samuel, the Bills could save a lot of money, but by trading Trubisky, unlike Curtis Samuel, though, I do think there would be suitors for a QB2 making $2 million. Like there would be suitors in that case, based on who gets hurt, what ends up happening in the preseason. But he would have to be traded. Otherwise, there's not enough benefit to cut him. That's the problem. You'd have to still pay him close to $2 million, then pay Mike White. Ultimately, that gets a little bit more costly than just keeping him. So if the Bills have a trade partner and get a draft choice out of him, can save some money, Brandon Beane would absolutely make a move on that. But Josh has got to say, like, no, Mike White is just as good as Trubisky. And on Josh is saying what he's saying. Josh, a pretty loyal guy. I doubt he turns on Trubisky like that. But he could say something like, hey, if you can get a draft choice for him, we free up a little space, and Mike's doing just as good. We don't know what Josh is saying, but that is very, very important in the room, because if Josh Allen goes down for 8 weeks, it's over. If he goes down for 2 weeks, okay, fine. It's not over. So but that's a very specific scenario. And Josh, that's just a very specific scenario. Like, who's the best quarterback in a 2-week stretch? Because other than that, it's not going to have to do with on the field, other than that one question.
Yeah. Well, folks, we're going to have to continue to monitor this QB2 competition that is currently going on in camp. We do want to save a little bit for the Bills Roundtable. I do want to remind everybody that as soon as when this show is over, you are about to be redirected to the Bills Roundtable channel. It's myself, Kevin, Zbot, and Jake from the Bills Bunker, right? Like, we are going to be talking about our players stock up and players stock down. We strategically ended up holding in a couple of our takes on this show so you can come tune in on the following. Kevin, is there anything you would like to tell the audience right before we switch over to the Bills Roundtable?
No, look, it's our goal to get on, weekly, or try to get on as much as we can to talk some film. So hopefully soon we'll have some film to show.
And some of the All-22 would be nice.
Yeah, some All-22, which I would expect to be out. It's so,
it's weird. Crazy. It's not.
Yeah, I think a lot of games are. Almost over half the games from preseason are out. So they're just getting their feet wet, and there's a lot of changes with ESPN and NFL and all the stuff going on right now with all their platforms. So I'm assuming that is not helping anything right now with their apps. But hey, we want to bring you some actual footage. We want to show you some stuff about what we're talking about. We're not just throwing stuff out there. But I did want to point out one last thing on the offense here while you have it up, is that Chase Hunt did everything possible to be another yet top rookie that played this preseason. He was credited with no pressures. I think one of the best performances. That score is really low. One of the best performances of the entire offseason so far, for preseason week 1, was Chase Hunt. I think he finished second in all of offensive linemen in the NFL with his pressure rate, which is 0. So he had an incredible preseason. He was playing multiple positions, very much so a Cromer guy that they diagnosed in the late rounds. And Grable's been good too in stretches. So the Bills have some depth tackles, and right now he's definitely been one of them.
Thank God.
So watch out. Shout out to Chase Hunt. For many are saying that have watched the film, one of the best performances so far by the Buffalo Bills.
Chase Lunt, ladies and gentlemen. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you over at the Bills Roundtable. Again, you will be redirected once this stream is over with, and that channel is pinned at the top of this live chat. We'll see you in about 10 minutes, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.